So it says we're live again. I don't know why I always do that. I think my shoulder hurts. I'm just trying to get to my back. Um, so yeah, I've been really blessed with my studio that I've got and everything that I have. I've got a really nice MIDI keyboard that I can trigger. Like I've got so many synths that I can trigger. Um, Pianos, vintage Casio. Yeah, I mean, just all soundscapes and stuff. Pardon me. I have BFD. It's a drum program, and I have all the expansions for it. Um, all the expansions they make, and all the third party expansions that are accepted. Chocolate Audio, E Sounds, Platinum Samples. Uh, I've got two from. I don't really like them. They're not all that great. That's why I can't remember their name. Oh well, I don't want to bust anybody's crap anyways. But but I've got like 70 expansions for BFT. So my 5 tom drum kit right over there can be a 2 tom kit. Okay, so I've got 5 toms, dual zone, and 3 percussion pads and 7 cymbals, a hi hat, 2 snares. It can be broken down to hi hat, snare, kick, 2 toms, like a jazz kit, and then those other extra toms become percussion pieces. So there's 6 percussion pieces. A go-go. If I want like fucking that going down and going up, I have those sampled. I have tons of like world percussion. I've got bongos, congas. There's a swan percussion. So they call theirs the swangos and swangas instead of, congas and bongos. Um, I've got the djembes. I've got, yes, plural, the djembes. I've got 18 to 16. They can be the kick drum. They can be just a, it's nuts. So when I go jazz, I can go like world type jazz. I've got tons of like cowbells. I've got tons of percussion like tambourines. I've got hi hats with tambourines on, so I can stomp the pedal and it goes. Tss, tss, tss. You know what I mean? Not only does the hi hat, but also does the shake on the top. All that stuff, dude. Um, Pretty much any style kit from late 50s to modern times. I've got. I can make my drum kit sound like it. My drum kit right over there sound like it, and pretty authentically. It's not perfect, I mean, because it's sampled. But for this room, you can see how cluttered it is with instruments. Now I've got a couple hundred kick drums. So okay, here's what I do. I use the drum brain, the Elisa's drum brain, when I'm laying the drum, so I can listen to it in real time. There's no latency or any of that shit. And then I can listen to the drums that I'm laying down. But I only record the MIDI to record the performance. Got it? Then I just remember mentally if it's a 2 tom, because if it's like a mellower song, I tend to go with like a 2 tom, something very simple. Because I mean, like, you're not going to do a whole lot unless it's like a very complicated, kind of like a 3 days by Jane's Addiction. If it's going to be a complicated one, then yes, I will add in extra toms. Doom, 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 doom. You know what I mean? But I might use a brush kit. There's a lot of things I can do. Um, but if it's just a straight kind of like straight up, and it's not gonna have a lot of tom work, then I'll just use a 2 tom. But I might use some percussion like the boom, 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 boom. You know what I mean? I've got all that. So um, I lay the performance down ahead of time. My lips are chapped. Sorry. And then I go through and I lay the rest of the guitars, and that's the dry track. I lay the guitars down, just the dry track going in. I listen to through I've got a Pod Line 6 amp simulator, and so I listen to that so I can get a rough idea. Like if I'm going for a clean sound, I'll pick a clean sound on the thing, and I'll put like effects and whatever, so I'll get like the feel of where I'm going for later. Not the exact tone, but the feel. Dreamy, kind of like so I know it's gonna delay and it's gonna delay in time, so I'll put on delay in time. It may not be the delay I choose eventually, but that way I can get into the feel of the space, see how the notes are gonna play together. I do a lot of my solos just are just improvised. So I'm dun, dun, dun. I don't want to go too fast if the delays are gonna get muddy and nasty. So I can listen to it without actually committing. What I'll actually commit is just the performance on the guitar. The line out of the guitar going into my computer. Then I use my MIDI foot controller to control any like pedals being stomped or volume going up or down the wah pedal. And that way, during production, after I've laid the song, after I've laid the bass, after I've laid the vocals, after I've laid the guitar, after I've laid the drums, I can then decide if I want it to sound like a Sabbath era. You know what I mean? It doesn't have to be mellow. If I'm doing an aggressive song, um, I might decide to do it, rather than go with a modern amp and stuff. I might try with a modern amp and a modern kit, but rather than having to re-record the whole song, I just change the amps. I just change the drums. If I'm playing, I'm like, it sounds good, but it's just something's not right. Why don't we go with more of a, some Marshalls, just a couple tube screamers. I'll use a Plexi on this side. I'll use a JCM 800 on that side. Um, do different speaker cabinets so they definitely sound different. Change the bass to an old like Ampeg from the 1980s. You know what I mean? And the drum kit. Let me see what if we're using 80s. Let me go ahead and I can go through and it tells the year of the drum, like the drum. It tells how what year the drum set is. Not necessarily when it was recorded, but how old the this is a 1970s Gretsch. This is a 19 whatever. As long as it would have existed in the time frame of what I'm trying to do. And then to top all of that off, I have virtual consoles like a virtual Neve. I've got a couple of virtual and several virtual Neves. I've got several virtual SSLs, SSLJ, SSLE, SSL, um, J, G, and E. And then I have a couple versions of that. And that's another thing I was going to say. Um, I have a lot of paid plugins that I pay for. I'm with Plugin Alliance on their mega bundle, the cheapest package that they have, and it is so worth it. As soon as a plugin comes out, you get it like immediately. You get to keep like 3 plugins per year. You can cancel anytime you want. I already had like several, like 50, maybe 60 of their plugins, not including their free ones they're giving away. And so, but they just kept coming out with newer and just better and just insanely good plugins. They were just so good. And so I just went ahead and the mega bundle was like 15 a month. And I was like, pull that freaking trigger, man. And pardon for the, as an expression, it is not any. I went ahead and got the deal. I went ahead and spent the money. Excuse my wording of that, since the monitors and the sensors get all really, really freaked out about stuff nowadays. Um, so yeah, I have all their plugins, but the great thing is that analog gear, even if they came off the same assembly line, same time, same whatever, um, they're not going to sound exactly the same. Like you have two LA 2As, as simple as they are. You have them roll off the same assembly line, even same inspector and everything, and they are not going to be exactly matching. They're not going to be exactly paired. They'll be very, very close. And I think that's what happens with a lot of these plugins. Um, some plugins get about 80% correct. Some get like about 95% correct. None get 100% because it's not real. So you cannot emulate 100%. You just couldn't. I couldn't emulate 100% you. I could probably fabricate a good portion, but I couldn't make. Understand? Even if I did, it wouldn't have all the experiences, so it wouldn't be you. You know what I mean? It wouldn't be you. And even if I could get your memory, it still wouldn't understand where it got those from. So it would never be 100% copy. It just never would. And that's kind of the way the analog world was, anyways. So I was very happy to see Plugin Alliance doing like on the consoles. You can do up to like 72 channels on some of them. Some of them only have like 32, but I mean, come on, it's just still amazing that you can do the variants of actual channels on a board. It's and they can put that on anything. I suggested that they maybe make it a free plugin and release it so that way you can do that for any plugin that you have, even even if it's not a Plugin Alliance plugin, but that still promotes Plugin Alliance because it's just kind of a standard feature with Plugin Alliance plugins now. Um, the whole channel strip, the whole mono maker, all that other stuff. It maybe even like $10, $20, something like that for the plugin, and just you can just slap it on whatever. Some of your old Waves plugins because it's not going to stop the fact that I've already got those plugins, is it? No, those plugins just don't have that feature, and maybe I mean some of them Plugin Alliance doesn't make a similar plugin to what I was trying to emulate, but I would like those features on there. Anyways, I've decided to try to keep these at about 20. I would love to do 10, but I just talk too much. I just talk too much. Um, but yeah, so that's why it's good to have people to talk to because like they can remind you what you're talking about because sometimes you get lost. Uh, yeah. Um, Man, I just completely lost it, but that's kind of typical for me to kind of lose where I was going. That's why I like to make little jokes and then just change subject, and people hopefully forget that I was talking about what I was talking about. If you ever talk to me for a while, you probably see that. Like I'll make a joke and whatever, and then uh, it's all big nothing, anyways, isn't it? We're heading into a void of just nothing. This can't keep going, man. This can't keep going like this. This is ridiculous. This is absurd. This whole thing is ridiculous. It's got to be some kind of joke of some kind because it's not. It's just not right. Nothing is correct here. It's like this is the opposite world of where we ought to be, and no one ever thinks that. You know what I mean? Because like equal and opposite, right? So for every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. Second law of thermodynamics. So what if we never think about that? What if our world, everything that we know, is the garbage byproduct of creating the universe we all want to live in? We think this is the only universe because the Big Bang just went that way, right? It didn't go that way, also. Time didn't explode in both directions. I mean, it's only in space. Why would an explosion go in both directions simultaneously? That time, as it reaches out from the Big Bang, also goes away in negative. Now, if they use that in their calculations, they probably would find that some of their math that breaks down at zero at the Big Bang doesn't. You're just not using negative numbers. That'd be my bet. You're not using the opposite because we say that, well, the scientists say that the universe is heading toward a heat death, right? So it expands so much that there's this global contraction. I mean, a universal contraction and cooling. And so basically from the nothing we came from, we return. Makes sense. I believe it. They even believe that this time that we're experiencing right now is just between dilations of the universe, and that eventually it'll come back together, and then another one, and then another one, and then creations happen. Now that can easily happen. That a new creation inside this universe that lasts easily as long as what we've been living, and then it shrinks back fucking down, and then you know however long it's dormant, and then it comes back out, and it's a whole new thing, and it has its evolution and whatever goes dormant, and it just keeps doing that. Or right now, we could be on a loop, which would explain deja vu. In fact, the gravitational stretch necessary to turn nothing, to pull nothing into something, and then to turn that something back into nothing makes a big, complete cycle, which I refer to as zero station. Um, I looked it up recently, and that's also a term for birth. But that in lines with the Bible, that the earth will travail as a woman who travails with birthing pangs. Um, there's just so much in the Bible that lines up with, believe it or not, with science. You'd be surprised. Um, if you stop looking at the differences and start looking at the similarities, it would be kind of shocking, because in the beginning there was blackness, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. Now, if you actually break it down, in order to have a word, you have to have consciousness and thought to even have a word, right? So, in the blackness, in the dark, in the black, in the nothingness, there was thought. Okay. That's not covered in, but it's suggested in the Big Bang. How did nothing decide to do something? It's a conscious move. That is a conscious move to do to be doing nothing, and then to do something. If nothing else, something pushed, something conscious pushed. Something. It's something. You see what I'm saying? You're suggesting that there was something, a spark, a something that happened that caused nothing to become something. Because even the laws of thermodynamics says it goes towards destruction, towards chaos, not towards order. So why would nothingness, which would be the chaos, come and think about it? It's chaos. It's as chaotic as everything being where it is. Easily, nothing, 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 no time, no space, no air, no nothing. Where does that happen? Where does that exist? It's a fucked up idea, man. Where does that exist? Where does that nothing live? So, yeah, we're hitting 20 minutes now. I'll go for a little bit longer. I did another one. Um, the first thing that happened after God decided to do something from nothing was let there be light. According to science, One of the first things that was ever created were stars. I don't know if you know this, but in the blackness, stars give off light. Now imagine in that split second of the Big Bang into creation, all the light in the universe, all those stars and everything that ever existed was in one spot. And it's just so, our sun, everything is so freaking bright. And he separated the light and the dark, put space between all that light, scattered it out everywhere. Now, here's why I believe that they're not telling us something that's inside there because, and I came at this the other day, I realized this the other day. God in the Bible says he's going to make a new heaven and a new earth, right? New heaven and new earth is coming. Let no man deceive you, for that time shall not come, the second coming, until the man of sin has been revealed. Well, that, I think, a 2,000-page document, even though redacted, has been dropped on Donald Trump, and that dude is, in my opinion, without doubt, the Antichrist. The way people are flocking to him, the man of sin. When he had sex with that porn star, the NDA they signed, his name was David Dennison, Den of Sin. And boy, you guys are just, some of you guys are just out there just worshiping at his feet, man. It's sad. It's really sad and pathetic, especially watching Christians grovel at Donald Trump's feet. It's pathetic. So-called Christians. I haven't read anywhere where it says a man is coming to save us before the return of God's Son or before the great day of the Lord. I haven't read anywhere it says that. That's your hopeful and wishful thinking that you're going to avoid the trials and tribulations that are prophesied in the book. Your wishful thinking of a rapture where you get to avoid that. You might find out all about it since you voted for Donald Trump and not the rapture part. I don't know. Maybe you will, maybe you won't. I don't know. I can't say. It's not my call. But I do know the Bible says that all will go to the lake of fire. All according to their works. So if you have works that deserve a bit of a fucking bath, you're gonna get a bath. If you just need to dip in, you need to dip in, dip out. But understand a dip in, one forever, is far longer than you could ever imagine or ever want to go through. It's only a second. It blinks by for God. Now, if you tell me to jump in this fucking lake of fire and for a second, it's going to feel like an eternity, then I'm going to yank you out and then you're clean and we go on about our business. I'm going to cannonball in there. A bit of pain. If you tell me if I dove on a grenade, I'd go to heaven, you think I wouldn't? Yeah, it's going to hurt. It's going to blow up. It's going to suck. I mean, I would do it anyways. It probably save people. If it would save people, I would. But I mean, be like, oh, there's a lot of people that are like, oh, those are proof that there's no God. How could he let these things happen? And these innocent people died. Innocent people dying usually means that you kind of get, according to most beliefs, you get kind of ushered to the front of the line to get to heaven. Are you mad that they get to go and you don't? What's the problem? Most of what we don't believe in God about is about our personal beliefs of what he or she or it ought to do. Where's your disappointment coming from? You said you would never. When? Are you reading the book? Show me. Because I'll show you where he talks about Job. One of his most, he loved him. He loved Job. And he warned the devil, you can do whatever you want to. Don't you kill him. And he killed his kid. The devil killed his kids, some of his kids, killed some of his livestock, like most of, if not all of his livestock, boils and blisters on his body. And did you happen to hear about what he did to his son? Did you happen to hear about what happened to God Almighty, El Shaddai's son, known as Jesus to most, known as Yeshua to others? Did you hear about that? I don't know if you heard about that for the last, oh, I don't know, Christmas invention. Have you heard the story of the passion? I don't know how much passion there was in there. There's no compassion in one, that's for sure. That was his son who didn't do anything wrong. At least not in that life. I don't know if he did anything before. That's none of my business. I don't know. I don't care. I don't know. I don't care. His only begotten son, which then kind of somewhat makes you want to ask, why are you specifying only begotten son? Do you have daughters? Daughters, and only one son? There's stuff that's not being said. There's stuff that's not being told. There's stuff that's not being asked. There's stuff that's not being questioned. There's stuff that's not being even looked at because you're content with what you're being told. For example, we all know the model of the Earth, right? You got the outer crust, you got the mantle, you got the like the inner core, you got the outer core, then you got the inner core type thing, right? We've all seen the. It's a drawing. You realize that, right? It's a drawing. The farthest we've drilled down into the earth is about a mile, maybe two. The farthest. And they're trying to tell us how deep the crust is. Hundreds of miles. How the front door would you know that if the farthest you've dug is 1 mile? You have radar, and how does your detecting system, and you're sure it's so how deep is the inner core and the outer? I'm not saying it doesn't make sense, but don't step to me with assuredness like you've actually sliced the earth in, like that little pie chart they show you, and it's a drawing. Do you know how many people have faith in that drawing that have no faith in the Bible? So little faith in the Bible, they haven't even read it themselves to agree or disagree. You could at least read it to agree or disagree for yourself instead of what people tell you is in there. Wouldn't that be smarter than just being like, yeah, but then, the Bible says that, and like, no, it doesn't. Uh-huh. A friend of mine said it doesn't. As a guy who's read it 3 times, it doesn't. Nowhere. Nowhere in there does it say that. If God's one you he did mention gays. Jesus did talk about gays, trans, homosexual. He talked all about all that. You have to be smart enough to understand words. You have to have a spirit to hear what the ear. You have to have an ear to hear what the spirit says. It's in red letter if you think I'm lying. Some are born eunuchs, some become eunuchs, and some are made eunuchs of men. Some are born with no interest in women, so they can watch a king's harem, with no threat, no worry. Some become, don't want it, just turn away from, and then some in prison and other situations are made eunuchs of men. Just like a lot of women say, that's the guy that made me where I don't want to date guys anymore. There's your patriarchy. You got we I know one last thing. It's 31 minutes now. One thing I'm going to say before I head out, we really need to get to a point where we understand the difference between patriarchy and advertisement. There's a difference. There's a huge difference. Okay? If you don't understand what I mean, there's a difference between actual oppression and press. The going theory, the going belief, the current trends about what's happening. Then there's actual stuff that happens. I'm not denying it. I'm just saying once you get a boogeyman like communism, aliens, illegal aliens, once you get a boogeyman, your entire life, all of your problems are now a boogeyman hunt. Why is my life not not the perfect life that I should have? Oh, those guys. Well, we'll get those out of here. No, my life's still not perfect. Get rid of the poor. If we have the poor, then we get rid of the drain on the system. There we go. No, still not happy. Still not my perfect life. Well, those neighbors are making too much fucking noise, that's for sure. So we got to get rid of them. Why is this garbage backing up? Why is there no produce in the fucking? This is worse than it was before. This is worse than it was before. Hmm. There's a few things that bring me peace in this times. God is the main one that focuses me because just looking through the Bible, I see this is how it goes. Read it. Read it. Read it. The gloom and doom of now seems so positive. He's at the door knocking. Everything I've read, everything I've seen, at the door knocking. Means it's not going to be long. We'll be out of here. Even if you go nowhere, some will awake to everlasting life and others to everlasting contempt. I knew it versus like, ah, shit, you're real. Gone. Everlasting contempt. It's your last thought you ever have. Oh, fuck, it's real. I talk so much shit and it's real. So I guess I'm going to burn or whatever. I'm definitely not making the cut. Am I? No, I just wanted you to know before lights out. I can only do it on that one side. It's weird. Anyways, the other one's a very soothing thought. The past and future meeting the present. A glorious moment. Fit of anger and rage and retribution that the next morning no one even remembers. A fire that burns out all the roots and wicked and chaff off the face of the earth, gone forever. It's never have ever been imagine starting time over. Not one asshole. They all got to choose what kind of life they want to live, didn't they? Free will. You got to choose who and what you are. If it's too much of a hassle and you offer nothing back to society, I mean, like some comedians are kind of jerky and they're not the best people and they're not the brightest people or whatever, but they're hilarious. They're funny. They can be wrong about stuff too, because I mean, it's all nuance. It's all whether you're right or wrong about a subject is literally comes down to how and why you're taking the side you're taking. Literally, whether you're right or wrong comes down to what side you're taking and why. Um, yeah, that's enough for now. I'm gonna go ahead and not crash out. But I'm gonna go get something to eat and maybe play some music and stuff. But yeah, it's been fun talking. It'd be cool to have someone to talk to. But for no other reason than just to chat with somebody. Ow, ow. Sitting too long, I guess. 38:53. That's a good time to head out of here. I will be back doing some more of these. I just like getting it's just talking, even if no one's watching. I like talking about stuff and maybe I'll do some music sometime. So if tomorrow gets here, see ya.